Leadership is not a title you wear. It is a life you live. It's not something granted by a corner office, a loud voice, or a name on a door. Leadership begins much earlier than that. It begins the moment you decide to take responsibility for who you are, how you think, and the standards you accept. The world is full of people waiting to be led, but history is shaped by those willing to lead themselves first. A great leader understands one simple truth: people are always watching. They watch how you handle pressure, how you respond to failure, how you treat those who can do nothing for you. Leadership is revealed in the quiet moments when no applause is coming and no one is keeping score. That is where character is built, and character is the foundation upon which all great leadership stands. To be a great leader, you must first believe that your example speaks louder than your instructions. Your habits teach before your words ever do. Your discipline gives others permission to rise. Your attitude sets the emotional temperature of every room you walk into. When you grow, others grow. When you drift, others drift with you. Leadership is not about controlling people. It is about inspiring them. It is about seeing more in others than they see in themselves, and then helping them discover it. A great leader does not create followers for life, but develops leaders who can stand on their own. That is the ultimate measure of success. In a world searching for direction, clarity, and confidence, great leadership is more valuable than ever. And the encouraging news is this: leadership is not reserved for the chosen few. It is a skill, a discipline, and a decision available to anyone willing to pay the price. The question is not whether the world needs more great leaders. The question is whether you are willing to become one. Leadership begins long before anyone follows you. It starts the moment you decide to take control of your own behavior, your own thinking, and your own standards. Before you can lead people, projects, or organizations, you must lead yourself. This is where self-discipline becomes the first and most important requirement of great leadership. Without it, influence is temporary, authority is weak, and respect is fragile. With it, leadership gains weight, credibility, and consistency. Self-discipline is the ability to do what should be done, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or unseen. A leader who lacks this quality may speak well, dream big, and promise much, but sooner or later their inconsistency exposes them. People may listen at first, but they will not stay committed. On the other hand, a leader who practices self-discipline sends a powerful message without saying a word. Their actions demonstrate reliability. Their routines reflect seriousness. Their standards communicate what they truly believe. Personal example is the silent teacher of leadership. People learn far more from what you do than from what you say. If a leader talks about hard work but avoids effort, the team notices. If a leader speaks about integrity but bends the rules, the message is clear. Leadership collapses when words and actions are not aligned. But when discipline shows up daily in a leader's life, it builds trust naturally. People do not need to be convinced. They observe and decide for themselves. A disciplined leader understands that small daily choices create long-term influence. Waking up prepared, managing time wisely, controlling emotions, and following through on commitments may seem ordinary, but these habits compound into extraordinary leadership presence. Over time, people begin to rely on such a leader. They feel secure knowing that decisions are not impulsive, reactions are not emotional, and effort is not optional. This sense of stability becomes a foundation others are willing to stand on. Leadership without personal discipline often turns into force rather than influence. Orders replace inspiration. Pressure replaces motivation. Fear replaces respect. But when discipline governs the leader first, authority becomes natural instead of demanded. People follow not because they have to, but because they want to. They trust the direction because they trust the person giving it. Another essential aspect of disciplined leadership is the willingness to hold oneself accountable before holding others accountable. Great leaders ask more of themselves than they ask of their team. They arrive early, stay prepared, and accept responsibility when things go wrong. This creates a culture where excuses lose their power and growth becomes normal. When people see a leader owning mistakes and correcting course, they learn that improvement is valued more than perfection. Personal example also sets the emotional tone. A disciplined leader does not allow frustration, anger, or fear to dominate their behavior. They understand that emotions are contagious. Calm creates calm. Focus creates focus. Confidence creates confidence. By mastering their inner world, they positively shape the environment around them. This emotional stability allows teams to perform even during uncertainty and pressure. Self-discipline in leadership is not about being harsh or rigid. It is about being intentional. It means choosing long-term respect over short-term comfort. It means saying no to distractions so you can say yes to progress. It means developing yourself daily so that your leadership has depth rather than just volume. People can sense when a leader is growing, and they are far more willing to follow someone who is clearly committed to becoming better. When leadership begins with self-discipline and personal example, it becomes authentic and sustainable. Influence grows quietly but steadily. Respect deepens naturally. And over time, people begin to mirror the same standards, habits, and attitudes they see modeled every day, creating a chain reaction of growth that continues to expand through every person the leader touches, shaping not just results but character, culture, and the direction of the future through consistent actions repeated day after day without needing recognition or applause. True leadership is never handed over by a job title, a badge, or a position on an organizational chart. Titles may give authority, but they do not create influence. Influence is something far deeper, something earned slowly through character. People may obey a position, but they only follow a person they trust. And trust is built not by power, but by who you are when power is not required. Character is the invisible force behind lasting leadership. It is what people sense long before they hear your instructions. It shows up in honesty, consistency, humility, and fairness. When a leader's character is strong, their influence expands naturally. People listen more closely, commit more deeply, and stay loyal longer. When character is weak, no title can compensate for it. Eventually, People comply only when watched, disengage emotionally, and look for reasons to leave. Position can demand behavior, but character inspires belief. A leader who relies only on authority must constantly push, remind, and enforce. A leader who leads through character rarely needs to. Their presence alone sets expectations. Their word carries weight. Their decisions are trusted, even when not fully understood. This kind of influence is powerful because it operates voluntarily. People give their best, not because they are forced, but because they respect the person leading them. Character is revealed in moments of choice. When cutting corners would be easy, when blame could be shifted, when honesty might be inconvenient. These moments may seem small, but they are never unnoticed. People are always evaluating leadership, consciously or unconsciously. They watch how you treat those beneath you, how you speak about those above you, and how you behave when no advantage is at stake. Over time, these observations form a reputation, and that reputation becomes the true source of your influence. One of the great mistakes in leadership is believing that respect comes automatically with promotion. In reality, promotion only increases visibility. It magnifies strengths and exposes weaknesses. If character has not been developed before the position arrives, the position will not fix it. Instead, it will reveal it. That is why some leaders struggle to gain commitment, even with authority, while others lead effectively without any formal title at all. Influence through character also creates freedom. A leader with strong character does not need to manipulate, intimidate, or impress. They do not need to pretend to have all the answers. They can admit mistakes, ask questions, and listen sincerely. This authenticity invites connection. People feel safe to contribute ideas, challenge assumptions, and grow. The environment becomes one of trust rather than tension. Character-based leadership also lasts longer. Positions change. Roles evolve. Titles are temporary, but character follows you everywhere. It shapes every interaction and every opportunity. Leaders who build influence on character leave an impact even after they leave the room. Their standards continue to guide behavior. Their values continue to shape decisions. Their example continues to speak. Developing character is intentional work. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and a willingness to choose what is right over what is easy. It means aligning actions with values, even when doing so costs time, comfort, or popularity. This is not always visible immediately, but it is always effective eventually. Influence built on character grows slowly, but it grows strong. When people believe in a leader's character, they forgive mistakes more easily, endure challenges more willingly, and commit themselves more fully. They know the leader's intentions are sound, even when outcomes are uncertain. That belief becomes the bridge between direction and dedication. In the end, the most powerful leaders are not remembered for the positions they held, but for the character they displayed. Their influence outlives their authority because it was never dependent on it. And that is the kind of leadership that shapes lives, builds trust, and moves people forward long after titles have faded and roles have changed. Leadership without vision is movement without meaning. People may stay busy, but they will not feel confident about where they are going or why their effort matters. A clear vision gives leadership direction, and direction gives people a sense of security. When individuals understand where they are headed, uncertainty loses its power and confusion begins to fade. Vision does not have to be complicated, but it must be clear enough for people to see themselves inside it. A leader's vision acts like a compass. It does not remove obstacles, but it keeps everyone oriented even when the path becomes difficult. Without this compass, teams drift. They react instead of plan. They work hard but feel disconnected. A clear vision, however, aligns effort. It answers the unspoken questions people carry every day. What are we building? Why does this matter? Where does this lead? When those questions are answered, confidence naturally grows. Clarity in vision also creates unity. People from different backgrounds, personalities, and skill sets can work together when they are focused on the same destination. Vision turns individual effort into collective progress. It allows people to move beyond personal preferences and commit to something bigger than themselves. When a leader consistently communicates vision, it becomes a shared belief rather than a private idea. Confidence grows when people trust the direction. Even during uncertainty or change, a clear vision provides stability. People may not know every step ahead, but they know the purpose behind each step. This reduces fear and hesitation. A leader who can say, with conviction, where they are going and why, gives others the courage to keep moving forward, even when conditions are challenging. Vision also shapes decision-making. When direction is clear, choices become simpler. Leaders and teams can evaluate options by asking whether they move them closer to or further from the vision. This prevents distraction and wasted energy. It also empowers people at every level to make better decisions independently because they understand the bigger picture rather than waiting for constant instruction. A clear vision must be lived, not just stated. Words alone are not enough. People believe in vision when they see it reflected in priorities, behavior, and resource allocation. When leaders consistently align their actions with the vision, trust deepens. When vision and behavior are disconnected, confusion returns. Consistency between what is said and what is done reinforces confidence and commitment. Vision also provides motivation beyond immediate rewards. It gives people a reason to persist when results are slow and effort feels heavy. Short-term challenges become more bearable when they are connected to a long-term purpose. A compelling vision lifts perspective. It helps people see that their daily work contributes to something meaningful, something worth their time and energy. Leadership vision is not about predicting every detail of the future. It is about defining a direction that is clear enough to guide action and flexible enough to adapt. Great leaders adjust strategies, but they protect the vision. This balance allows growth without losing identity. People feel reassured knowing that while methods may change, the purpose remains steady. Communication plays a vital role in keeping vision alive. A vision must be repeated, reinforced, and refreshed. People do not absorb direction once and remember it forever. They need reminders, stories, and examples that bring vision to life. Each conversation, decision, and challenge becomes an opportunity to reconnect people with the direction and purpose behind their work. When a leader provides clear vision, they give more than instructions, they give confidence. People feel less anxious, more focused, and more committed. They understand how their role fits into the larger picture. They move with intention rather than hesitation. Over time, this clarity builds momentum, trust, and belief in the leadership guiding them forward, creating a sense of direction that turns effort into progress and uncertainty into purposeful action, driven by a shared understanding of where they are going and why it truly matters. Leadership is revealed most clearly in moments of pressure, when outcomes are uncertain and stakes are high. In those moments, one quality separates respected leaders from temporary ones: the willingness to take responsibility before taking credit. This principle shapes trust, loyalty, and long-term influence more than any speech or strategy ever could. People instinctively look to leaders not just for direction, but for accountability, especially when things do not go as planned. A leader who accepts responsibility sends a powerful signal. It tells the team that leadership is not about protecting ego, shifting blame, or finding excuses. It is about ownership. When a mistake happens, people already know something went wrong. What they watch closely is how the leader responds. If responsibility is avoided or redirected, confidence erodes. If responsibility is accepted, respect deepens. Ownership reassures people that the leader is grounded, honest, and committed to improvement rather than image. Taking responsibility first creates psychological safety. It allows others to admit mistakes without fear of humiliation or punishment. When leaders openly acknowledge their own misjudgments, they remove the culture of blame and replace it with a culture of learning. People become more willing to speak up, share concerns, and offer solutions. This openness leads to better decisions and stronger performance over time. Credit, on the other hand, has a different effect. When leaders rush to claim success, they unintentionally distance themselves from the team. Success begins to feel like something taken rather than shared. But when leaders delay credit and highlight the contributions of others, loyalty grows. People feel seen and valued. They understand that their effort matters and that their leader is secure enough not to compete for recognition. Responsible leadership also builds credibility. A leader who takes ownership demonstrates maturity and confidence. They are not threatened by mistakes because they see them as part of progress. This mindset stabilizes the team during setbacks. Instead of panic or finger pointing, there is focus and resolve. The leader becomes a steady presence, guiding people through challenges with clarity rather than emotion. Taking responsibility before credit also strengthens discipline. It encourages leaders to think carefully before making decisions, knowing they will own the outcome. This sense of accountability sharpens judgment and reduces impulsive actions. Leaders become more thoughtful, more prepared, and more deliberate. Their decisions carry weight because they are backed by personal accountability. When success arrives, responsible leaders shift the spotlight. They recognize effort, celebrate teamwork, and share wins generously. This does not diminish their authority. It multiplies it. People naturally want to follow leaders who elevate others. Recognition becomes a source of motivation rather than competition. Teams begin to operate with pride and unity rather than fear and self-protection. There is also a deeper lesson in responsible leadership. It teaches others how to lead. Teams often mirror the behavior of their leaders. When responsibility is modeled at the top, it spreads throughout the organization. People stop waiting for someone else to fix problems and start taking initiative. Accountability becomes part of the culture rather than a rule imposed from above. Leaders who avoid responsibility may enjoy short-term comfort, but they pay a long-term price. Trust weakens. Morale declines. People disengage quietly. Eventually, results suffer. In contrast, leaders who consistently take responsibility earn loyalty that cannot be demanded. Their teams stand with them during difficulty because they know the leader will stand with them as well. True leadership is not measured by how loudly success is celebrated, but by how calmly failure is owned. The leader who steps forward when things go wrong earns the right to step back when things go right. This balance creates respect, unity, and resilience. Over time, it forms a leadership legacy built not on applause, but on trust, accountability, and the confidence that comes from knowing someone is willing to carry the weight of responsibility before ever reaching for recognition or praise. Leadership ideas remain powerless until they are communicated. Intention alone cannot move people. It must be expressed clearly, consistently, and convincingly. Communication is the bridge between what a leader envisions and what actually gets done. Without that bridge, even the strongest intentions collapse into confusion, hesitation, and misalignment. Great leaders understand that communication is not an accessory to leadership. It is leadership in action. Clear communication turns thoughts into direction. When leaders speak with clarity, people know what is expected, why it matters, and how their role contributes. Ambiguity creates doubt, and doubt slows momentum. A leader may believe they are being understood, but understanding only exists when others can act confidently without constant clarification. Effective communication reduces uncertainty and replaces it with focus. Leadership communication is not about speaking more, but about speaking with purpose. Every message carries weight. The tone, timing, and choice of words shape how the message is received. A leader who communicates thoughtfully creates alignment rather than noise. They eliminate unnecessary complexity and translate ideas into practical action. This ability allows teams to move together instead of pulling in different directions. Listening is just as important as speaking. Communication becomes incomplete when leaders talk but do not hear. Great leaders listen to understand, not to respond. They recognize that valuable insight often comes from those closest to the work. When people feel heard, they feel respected. This respect strengthens commitment and encourages honesty. Problems surface earlier, solutions improve, and trust deepens. Consistency in communication builds confidence. When messages change frequently or contradict actions, credibility suffers. People begin to question direction and motivation. But when leaders communicate consistently, reinforcing the same values and priorities, confidence grows. People know where the leader stands. They know what matters. This consistency creates stability, especially during times of change or uncertainty. Communication also carries emotion. People respond not just to information, but to feeling. A leader's energy, conviction, and belief influence how messages land. When communication is delivered with authenticity, it inspires action. When it lacks sincerity, it creates distance. Leaders who believe deeply in their message transfer that belief to others through their words and presence. One of the greatest failures in leadership communication is assumption. Leaders often assume people understand because something was mentioned once or written somewhere. But clarity requires repetition. Important messages must be reinforced through different moments and formats. Vision, values, and expectations need to be repeated until they become part of daily thinking. This repetition is not redundancy, it is reinforcement. Communication also guides behavior during difficulty. In moments of challenge, people look to leadership for reassurance and direction. Silence creates anxiety. Vague messages create fear. Clear, calm communication restores focus. Even when answers are incomplete, honesty maintains trust. Leaders do not need to pretend certainty. They need to communicate truthfully and steadily. Action follows understanding. When people understand the why behind a task, their effort gains meaning. Communication that connects purpose to action increases engagement. People work harder and with more care when they understand how their contribution fits into the bigger picture. This understanding transforms routine work into intentional effort. Strong communication also prevents conflict. Many conflicts arise not from disagreement, but from misunderstanding. When expectations are clearly communicated, assumptions decrease. Feedback becomes more constructive. Difficult conversations become easier because trust already exists. Leaders who communicate openly create environments where issues are addressed early rather than ignored until they grow. Ultimately, leadership success depends on the ability to translate vision into action through communication. Ideas become plans. Plans become movement. Movement becomes results. Leaders who master communication do not rely on force or authority to get things done. They create clarity, alignment, and belief. Through clear words, attentive listening, and consistent messaging, they turn intention into action and guide people forward with purpose, understanding, and commitment rooted in shared clarity and trust. Trust is not built in dramatic moments or powerful speeches. It is built quietly through consistency over time. People decide whether to trust a leader not by what happens once, but by what happens repeatedly. Consistency is the proof of sincerity. It shows that a leader's values are not situational and that their standards do not change with convenience, pressure, or mood. When a leader is consistent, people feel safe. They know what to expect. Expectations are clear, behavior is predictable, and decisions follow a pattern rooted in principles rather than impulse. This predictability does not make leadership weak, it makes it strong. It allows people to focus their energy on performance instead of uncertainty. When trust exists, effort increases naturally. Inconsistent leadership creates confusion. One day priorities are clear. The next day they shift without explanation. One day standards are enforced. The next day they are ignored. This inconsistency slowly erodes confidence. People stop giving their best because they are unsure which version of leadership will show up. Over time, they protect themselves emotionally by disengaging. Trust does not disappear suddenly. It fades through repeated unpredictability. Consistency shows up in small behaviors. How a leader speaks to people when things go well and when things go wrong. How rules are applied fairly, not selectively. How promises are kept, even when they become inconvenient. Each small action may seem insignificant, but together they form a pattern, and people trust patterns more than intentions. Trust grows when words and actions remain aligned. When leaders say one thing and do another, credibility suffers. But when leaders consistently act in accordance with their message, belief strengthens. People may not always agree with decisions, but they respect leaders who are steady and principled. That respect becomes the foundation of loyalty. Consistency also demonstrates emotional maturity. Leaders who allow emotions to control behavior create instability. One moment they are supportive, the next they are reactive. This emotional unpredictability makes people cautious and reserved. A consistent leader, however, manages emotions and responds thoughtfully. Calm responses during stress send a powerful message of reliability and strength. Time is a crucial factor in trust. Trust cannot be rushed or demanded. It is earned through repeated evidence. Each day presents an opportunity to either reinforce trust or weaken it. Leaders who show up prepared, follow through on commitments, and remain true to their values slowly accumulate credibility. Over time, people begin to rely on them without hesitation. Consistency also strengthens leadership influence. When people trust a leader, they accept guidance more readily. They give the benefit of the doubt during difficult decisions. They remain committed even when outcomes are uncertain. This influence cannot be forced. It is granted willingly by those who trust the leader's character and judgment. A consistent leader also creates a strong culture. Teams often mirror leadership behavior. When consistency is modeled at the top, it spreads throughout the organization. Standards become clear. Accountability becomes normal. People begin to hold themselves to higher expectations because they know what is required and what is respected. Inconsistent leaders often rely on reminders, pressure, and control to maintain performance. Consistent leaders rely on trust. Trust reduces friction. It reduces the need for constant supervision. People take ownership because they believe in the leadership guiding them. This trust-based environment is more resilient and adaptable over time. Consistency does not mean rigidity. Great leaders remain flexible in approach while staying firm in values. They adapt strategies without compromising principles. This balance reassures people that change will not undermine integrity. It allows growth without instability and progress without confusion. Ultimately, trust is the currency of leadership, and consistency is how it is earned. Every interaction is a deposit or a withdrawal. Leaders who consistently show integrity, fairness, and reliability build a reserve of trust that sustains them during challenges. Over time, This trust becomes a powerful force that binds people together, strengthens commitment, and allows leadership to endure beyond circumstances through steady actions repeated day after day with clarity, fairness, and unwavering reliability. Great leadership goes beyond achieving goals and hitting targets. It is ultimately measured by the growth it creates in others. Leaders who focus only on results may achieve short-term success, but leaders who develop people create lasting impact. Developing people means seeing potential before performance, investing time before rewards, and valuing growth as much as outcomes. This approach transforms leadership from management into influence. When leaders commit to developing people, they shift their mindset from control to empowerment. Instead of doing everything themselves, they teach others how to think, decide, and grow. This requires patience and belief. Growth is rarely instant, and progress often comes with mistakes. Leaders who understand this do not withdraw support when errors occur. They guide, correct, and encourage. This process builds confidence and competence over time. People grow best in environments where they feel valued. Leaders who invest in development communicate worth. They listen, coach, and provide feedback with the intent to improve rather than criticize. This creates trust. When people know their leader cares about their progress, they become more engaged and motivated. Their work gains meaning because it is connected to personal growth, not just task completion. Developing people also multiplies leadership capacity. A leader who tries to do everything alone becomes a bottleneck, but a leader who develops others creates momentum. Skills spread. Responsibility increases. Teams become stronger and more capable. This multiplication effect allows organizations and groups to grow beyond the limits of a single individual. Leadership becomes scalable rather than restrictive. True development requires challenge as well as support. Leaders who grow people do not shelter them from responsibility. They stretch them with new opportunities, encourage them to step outside comfort zones, and trust them with meaningful work. This trust communicates belief. When people feel trusted, they rise to meet expectations. Even when outcomes are imperfect, the learning gain strengthens future performance. Developing people also requires honest feedback. Growth cannot occur without clarity. Great leaders address weaknesses with respect and strengths with encouragement. They do not avoid difficult conversations, nor do they use them to dominate. Feedback becomes a tool for progress rather than punishment. Over time, people begin to seek feedback rather than fear it. Leaders who prioritize development create loyalty that goes beyond incentives. People remember those who help them grow. They remain committed not because they have to, but because they want to. This loyalty becomes especially powerful during challenges. Teams stay engaged because they believe their leader is invested in them as individuals, not just as contributors. Results still matter, but they become a byproduct rather than the sole focus. When people improve, results improve naturally. Skills sharpen. Judgment improves. Confidence increases. A team filled with growing individuals adapts faster, solves problems more effectively, and sustains performance under pressure. Development creates resilience that pure results Driven leadership cannot. Developing people also shapes future leaders. The greatest legacy of leadership is not what you accomplish, but who you leave behind capable of continuing the work. Leaders who invest in development ensure continuity. They create leaders who can lead others, extending influence far beyond their own presence. This is how leadership becomes generational rather than temporary. This approach requires humility. Leaders must accept that others may eventually surpass them in skill or position. Instead of feeling threatened, great leaders take pride in this outcome. It confirms that development has succeeded. Leadership becomes less about personal recognition and more about collective advancement. In the end, leadership that focuses only on results may win battles, but leadership that develops people builds kingdoms. People carry forward the lessons, values, and confidence instilled in them. They apply them in new roles, new environments, and new challenges. Through intentional development, leaders create impact that lasts far beyond immediate achievements, shaping lives, strengthening communities, and expanding influence through the continued growth of others who were once given the time, guidance, and belief needed to become more than they thought possible. Leadership is ultimately revealed in the decisions that are made, especially when the choices are difficult, uncomfortable, or unpopular. Anyone can decide when options are easy and outcomes are guaranteed. But true leadership emerges when uncertainty is high and pressure is intense. Decisions act like windows into a leader's values, priorities, and courage. What a leader chooses consistently tells people who they are and what they stand for. Every decision sends a message. Even the ones made quietly or not made at all shape perception. When leaders delay decisions out of fear or indecision, momentum slows and confidence weakens. People begin to question direction. On the other hand, leaders who make thoughtful, timely decisions provide stability. They show that leadership is active, not passive. Action, even when imperfect, often creates more trust than prolonged hesitation. The quality of decisions matters more than their popularity. Great leaders understand that approval is temporary, but consequences are lasting. They are willing to make difficult choices when necessary, even if those choices are misunderstood in the moment. This willingness requires courage and conviction. Leaders who prioritize long-term integrity over short-term comfort earn respect, even from those who may disagree. Decision-making reveals priorities. What is protected, what is sacrificed, and what is postponed all communicate what truly matters. When leaders consistently choose what aligns with their values, people learn what to expect. This consistency builds confidence. Teams feel guided rather than surprised. Over time, clarity replaces doubt, because decisions follow a recognizable pattern rooted in principle rather than impulse. Good decisions require perspective. Leaders must look beyond immediate pressure and consider long-term impact. This ability separates reactive leadership from intentional leadership. Reactive leaders respond emotionally. Intentional leaders respond thoughtfully. They gather information, seek counsel, and weigh consequences before acting. This process does not slow progress, it strengthens it. Thoughtful decisions reduce regret and increase resilience. leaders are also defined by how they handle mistakes in decision-making. No leader makes perfect choices every time. What matters is ownership and adjustment. Leaders who acknowledge poor decisions and correct course demonstrate maturity and honesty. This transparency builds trust. People understand that leadership is not about perfection, but about responsibility and growth. Decision making also reflects respect for others. Leaders who consider the impact of their choices on people demonstrate empathy. They understand that decisions affect morale, motivation, and culture. While not every decision can please everyone, leaders who communicate their reasoning show respect. This communication helps people accept outcomes, even difficult ones, because they feel considered rather than ignored. Strong leaders also know when to decide alone and when to involve others. Wisdom lies in balance. Some decisions require consultation and collaboration. Others require swift action. Leaders who recognize this distinction gain confidence from their teams. They show both humility and decisiveness, two qualities that rarely coexist without intentional effort. Decisions shape culture. Over time, repeated choices establish norms. They signal what behavior is rewarded and what behavior is corrected. If leaders tolerate poor standards through weak decisions, culture erodes. If leaders uphold standards through firm decisions, culture strengthens. People adapt to what leadership consistently allows. The absence of decision is itself a decision. Avoiding action communicates uncertainty and lack of direction. Teams feel abandoned. Progress stalls. Leaders who understand this do not hide behind delay. They act responsibly, even when information is incomplete. They accept that leadership requires choosing a direction and adjusting along the way. In the end, leadership quality can be measured by decision quality. Decisions reflect values, courage, clarity, and commitment. They reveal whether a leader is guided by fear or purpose, comfort or conviction. Over time, people remember not just what leaders said, but what they decided when it mattered most, because those choices shaped outcomes, trust, and direction, leaving a lasting imprint on everyone who was affected by the path those decisions set into motion across challenges, opportunities, and moments of uncertainty that demanded clarity and resolve. The most powerful leaders are those who understand that leadership is not about controlling people, but about serving them. Service multiplies influence because it builds trust, respect, and loyalty in ways that authority alone never can. When a leader's focus shifts from personal gain to the growth, well-being, and success of others, the impact becomes exponential. Service is not a weakness or an afterthought. It is the very foundation upon which lasting leadership is built. Service and leadership begins with listening. Before giving direction or making decisions, a great leader seeks to understand the needs, challenges, and aspirations of the people they lead. This active listening creates connection. It shows empathy and concern, signaling that people are valued as individuals, not just as contributors to an agenda. When leaders genuinely understand those they serve, their decisions become more informed, their guidance more relevant, and their influence more natural. Serving others also requires humility. Leaders who embrace service recognize that leadership is not a platform for self-promotion, ego, or control. They put the team's success above their own recognition. Humility allows leaders to step back, celebrate others, and prioritize collective goals over personal gain. People respond to this selflessness by giving their best, often going beyond what is asked, because they know their leader genuinely cares. Service-driven leadership creates empowerment. Leaders who serve do not hoard knowledge, responsibility, or authority. Instead, they equip others with the tools, skills, and confidence needed to succeed independently. This empowerment strengthens the entire team. People feel capable, trusted, and motivated. The leader's influence grows not through dominance, but through the development of others, creating a cycle where empowerment fosters growth and growth reinforces trust in leadership. Accountability is another dimension of service. A leader who serves does not avoid difficult decisions or protect people from reality, but holds them accountable with fairness and clarity. Service does not mean avoiding tough conversations. It means guiding others toward improvement while maintaining respect and dignity. People respond positively because accountability, when delivered from a place of care, is understood as an act of investment rather than punishment. Servant leadership also thrives on example. Leaders who serve demonstrate the behavior they wish to see in others. They model integrity, diligence, and respect. Actions speak louder than words, and a leader who consistently serves sets a standard for the entire team. People mirror what they observe. When your leader lifts others through service, the culture of service spreads organically, creating a community of collaboration, mutual respect, and shared responsibility. Communication is key in serving leadership. Service requires clarity in expectations, support in execution, and feedback in growth. Leaders who serve communicate not to control, but to guide and inspire. They ensure that people understand their role, purpose, and the resources available to succeed. This clarity reduces confusion, builds confidence, and reinforces trust. Service in communication is proactive, intentional, and consistent. Decision-making also reflects service. Great leaders weigh how their choices affect others. They consider long-term impact, not just immediate convenience. Decisions made with the team's benefit in mind reinforce trust and loyalty. People are more willing to follow leaders whose choices demonstrate concern for their well-being and growth, because they feel valued beyond mere performance. Service-based leadership transforms relationships into influence. People follow willingly, not out of obligation, but out of respect and gratitude. Motivation comes from alignment of purpose and the recognition that the leader genuinely invests in their success. This type of influence endures through challenges, changes, and even adversity, because it is grounded in trust rather than authority. The essence of service in leadership is recognizing that true power is not taken, but given. Leaders who prioritize the needs of others multiply their impact exponentially. Their influence is deeper, their team stronger, and their legacy lasting. Service creates a leadership environment where people thrive, commitment flourishes, and potential is unlocked, demonstrating that the growth and well-being of others is the most effective. and enduring. Measure of leadership success. The growth of a leader determines the growth of the team. Leadership is not just about guiding others. It is about continually developing oneself so that the influence exerted is meaningful, credible, and sustainable. A leader who stops growing stagnates, not only personally, but also limits the potential of everyone around them. People reflect the capacity, mindset, and vision of the person guiding them. If the leader expands their knowledge, skills, and perspective, the team expands as well. If the leader becomes complacent, the team mirrors that complacency. Personal growth is the foundation of leadership impact. Leaders who invest in their own development through learning, reflection, and challenge build the capacity to make better decisions, communicate more effectively, and navigate complexity with confidence. This growth is visible. People notice the way a leader responds under pressure, approaches problems, and adapts to change. Leaders who stagnate lose credibility, while those who evolve inspire others to do the same. Growth sets the tone for the entire culture. A leader's mindset has a direct effect on team performance. When a leader embraces curiosity, innovation, and continuous improvement, it signals to the team that learning and progress are valued. People feel encouraged to push boundaries, explore new solutions, and develop their own capabilities. Conversely, a leader who resists growth communicates indirectly that complacency is acceptable. The team mirrors the leader's attitude, and potential remains untapped. Leadership growth is therefore both personal and catalytic. It shapes not just the individual, but the trajectory of the team. Self-awareness is a critical aspect of leadership growth. Leaders who reflect on their strengths, weaknesses, and blind spots become more effective in their decisions and interactions. Awareness of one's limitations allows a leader to seek counsel, delegate wisely, and leverage the talents of others. This humility fosters trust and collaboration within the team. Leaders who fail to grow often overestimate their competence and underestimate the value of others, which limits both influence and team potential. Growth also requires resilience. Leadership challenges are inevitable, and the ability to learn from setbacks defines whether a leader strengthens or weakens under pressure. Leaders who face obstacles with adaptability and a problem-solving mindset model behavior that their team emulates. This resilience creates a culture where challenges are approached as opportunities rather than threats. The growth of a leader, therefore, directly equips the team to handle adversity with confidence. Investing in growth often involves discomfort. Leaders must step outside their comfort zones, embrace new ideas, and confront outdated habits or beliefs. This willingness to change demonstrates courage and integrity, signaling to the team that improvement is continuous. People are more likely to follow a leader who challenges themselves because it shows commitment to excellence, not just position. Leadership growth is contagious. It spreads through example and inspires initiative. Developed leaders cultivate potential in others by modeling high standards. They do not rely solely on authority to direct behavior. Instead, they lead through competence, wisdom, and personal example. When a leader grows in skill, knowledge, and emotional intelligence, they expand the collective capability of the team. People are naturally inclined to follow someone who can guide them effectively through complexity, demonstrating insight that comes only from ongoing personal development. Growth also enhances strategic vision. Leaders who invest in learning can anticipate trends, evaluate risks, and innovate proactively. This ability enables the team to operate with purpose and clarity, aligning daily actions with long-term goals. Without growth, leaders respond reactively, and the team lacks guidance toward meaningful progress. The leader's development ensures that the team is not just active, but effective, moving toward results with foresight and intentionality. Mentorship is a product of leadership growth. Leaders who develop themselves create an environment where they can invest in the growth of others. Knowledge, skills, and values are transmitted intentionally, producing capable individuals who can eventually lead themselves and others. The team's growth becomes a reflection of the leader's commitment to development, and this cycle ensures sustainability and continuity in leadership effectiveness. Ultimately, leadership is a reflection of the person at the helm. The more a leader grows, the more influence they have, the more trust they inspire, and the more potential they unlock in those around them. Growth is not optional. It is the engine of leadership. A leader who remains stagnant limits the team's progress, but a leader committed to growth sets a trajectory for excellence, performance, and resilience that extends beyond personal success into the lasting development of the people they guide.